Transfer window is officially closed as of a few days ago. So instead of going through all of the transfers, let's just hit the ones that we missed, so the latest ones in no particular order. Hudson Odoi to Nottingham Forest. Nice pickup by them. They lost
love this move.
Brendan Johnson, so he fits right in.
Yeah.
I still think they should start Alenga. Why he's still not starting is beyond me. Every time he comes in, he makes a difference.
Yeah. I think. I mean, after this last week, he scored the winning goal. I feel like he'll be, I think he'll be in the mix now. It just takes that one little breakthrough moment. But speaking of Hudson Odoi, so a little bit of background there. I didn't realize this, but the coach Cooper actually was his coach before on the England under-17 national team when they won the World Cup as the under-17 team, and the two stars were Hudson Odoi and Morgan Gibbs-White, who was also already on Nottingham. So basically, the coach was like, "I love these two guys. Get them on my team."
Yeah.
So he already has a history there. He already has played with a lot of these guys. So I think it's a great bit of business to get somebody like that that's just going to be riding the bench anyway.
Yeah.
Bring him to a place where he's going to have a chance.
I'm totally with you on that. I think it's a great signing. Perfect for that size team too,
Yeah, exactly the type of guy you want.
Yeah, Cooper, he's definitely leading the league in British face.
My God.
Harry Redknapp led the league for years, but I think Cooper's got him now.
Dude, yeah. So when I saw that article about the history that they had, they posted the picture from when he was the coach of the under-17 team, and he had hair then, and I did not recognize him at all.
Oh my God!
I was like, who's that guy? I was like, wait, that's Cooper. So it was pretty funny, but yeah, if you could find that pic, take a look.
Oh my God, Steve Cooper, British face. Okay. All right, next one, which amazing signing.
Yeah.
Ansu Fati to Brighton. Oh my God. A match made in heaven.
Yeah.
I was so excited because Blake, our Tottenham friend, was all over this. Be like, we're going to get Ansu Fati. Blah, 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 blah. And then, the minutes after he texted us that, he signed with Brighton. And I was just like, and then they ended up with Brendan Johnson. I was like, ooh. But I think Brendan Johnson's still good. It's better to have Brendan Johnson than not, but I would rather have Ansu Fati.
Well, they got Brendan Johnson long term, right? I think Fati's just a loan deal, but
true.
Yeah, but no, I still think that's a good piece of business for the long term for Tottenham. But it was kind of funny. Everyone was so sure of him going there, and that it was just a total U-turn in the last 12 hours. It felt like.
Yeah.
But great. I mean, I can't think of many other teams that you would rather play on, right? The style of play they have, the type of player that Fati is, the success that they've had, the in-demand coach. It's just everything. It seems like such a winning place to go right now. So I think that factored in a lot in this decision. He's going to go on a loan for 1 year. Where do you want to go? Tottenham, that's got a new coach and is a little bit in a rebuild, or go to a place that is winning now with a coach that has a team now? I think it was the smarter move for Fati.
I think it was a smarter move, but Tottenham's no slouch. They're on fire right now. So, and they're playing pretty exciting football.
They are, but it also I feel like they're a little bit ahead of schedule right now of, what you would expect of a new coach coming in and gelling and meshing the team and figuring out who's where. They've been playing fantastic, but I feel like at some point there's going to be a little bit of growing pains.
So does this mean your boy Solly March is going to hit the bench? Because Matoma's not coming off.
I know. I think it has to be March, yeah. I think it does.
That kind of makes me sad a little bit.
He's such a good winger, It's like, but I don't know what else you do, man. Unless you just go balls out offense.
Yeah, I mean, he basically has subbed out that number 10-ish spot every match. It's been in CISO. It was even Welbeck, João Pedro last week. Hell, maybe he'll put him there. Who knows?
Embarrassment of riches at a team that traditionally doesn't. It's dude. At some point, we need to do an episode where we just break down the last like 4 years of Brighton and like every move they've done
Oh my gosh,
and
yeah.
how successful they've been. It's crazy.
Even the coaching moves. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
Amazing transformation. Yeah, we should do a documentary on that. Brighten the evolution. Oh my god, rags to riches story.
So good.
Okay, moving on. 2 Manchester United signings. 1, Amrabat. 2, Reguilon. Basically to help with the injured defense and the fact that Man United had to go with Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire to finish their last match.
Both place you want to be.
Both of these signings leave me pretty limp, if you know what I mean. If you're a Man U fan, yeah. I'm not very excited. What do you think?
I'm not excited at all about the Reguilon. That's just like a pure like depth play. Like we need a body. Amrabat, I could see people being more excited about. I personally am not. I just don't think he's quite at that level to be on a team like Man U. But once again, probably depth play, injuries that they've had to deal with, and continuous trouble that their players are getting into on and off the field. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Neither one is really a reason to turn heads.
Yeah. Man United, dude. Bad vibes at that place right now.
Dude. I don't get what's going on, man. They gotta sort things out.
They've made some shit signings. It's as simple as that. Like, were we ever excited for Mason Mount? No.
Yeah.
They got the young kid from Norway, the striker. He's like 20 years old. Who knows? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then what else? What else were you excited about?
Nothing, man.
Yeah. They still have plenty of talent. Like, they should still be there. Yeah, Onana,
yeah.
But he's a goalkeeper. You know, you can only do so much.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you see what all these other teams are doing. You just got to be down right now if you're a Man U fan.
Yeah.
You're going to be leaning very, very heavily on sort of the optimism of still having Ten Hag, whether or not that truly should give you optimism. I just think that's what you'd be pushing for so hard right now. You're just like, well, we got Ten Hag and he's great. And, you know, all of your effort and focus is going into that because everything else that you see going on around, not looking good.
It's not good. It's not good at all. All right. Speaking of not good, Verratti. He's going not to Saudi Arabia, but to Qatar.
I know.
So I don't care. I never liked him. He's definitely washed.
Newsworthy just because it's not Saudi Arabia. I thought we had to point that one out.
Yeah, he went to Qatar. Not Saudi Arabia. Not the MLS, not Saudi Arabia, Qatar. All right, have fun. All right, we buried the lead. This should have been at the top. Gravenberch, Ajax youth system to Bayern, now on Liverpool. He's still like 21, something stupid like that.
Super young still. Yep.
Super young. He goes to Liverpool. He's kind of that position that they need, but they also got Endo. He's super young. I don't know how excited I should be about this, but I'm getting pretty excited. Being that I picked them to win the league going into the year, I'm trying to contain myself a little bit, but I feel like I should be excited.
Mm-hmm. I think it's exciting. For me, it's less short-term and more long-term. Like, I would be excited if I was a Liverpool fan. Somebody that young and already so talented and already with experience on big teams, big competitions. I don't really see him as like a starter right now. I think he'll come into games. I think he'll start occasionally. I think they're going to be starting somebody more like Endo over him, at least to start. But I think it's a long-term play, and I think it's a great type of player to bring in at a young age. It's not just somebody that's young, but somebody that's young and has already played on a big team, so knows the expectations and the pressure and the publicity, like all that stuff that comes with it. You know, he had that at Bayern already, so you know you're going to get somebody that's probably a little bit more mature and ready for that type of stuff. So there's multiple reasons why I think they should be happy about this one.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with you. I feel more optimistic, but for me, and we'll get into it. For me, it's not so much these last two signings; it's just how good Szoboszlai has actually been, which I was expecting, but he looks even better than I expected, and I think he's going to end up being probably the steal of the offseason.
Absolutely. I just wanted to throw this out. This is a quote I found making the rounds on social. So this, I found the tweet from April 17th. So this is back in April. There's like a interview with multiple guys, and Rafael van der Vaart is one of them. Take it with a grain of salt because he's Dutch. But he says Ryan Gravenberch is better than Jude Bellingham at everything. That's what he said.
Okay, I'm gonna pass on that one, but I mean, I get the comparison though. They are similar, sort of like statures and kind of play styles. I feel like, but I mean that's a little over the top.
He's got time. He's got time on his side. But Jude Bellingham has come out firing this season, so it's not looking good initially.
Bellingham's already there.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought that was funny.
I was going to mention this. One of these weekends, I was just staying up late, deep in the rabbit hole of YouTube soccer, and I started watching championship games, like from the level below Premier League. Like that's how desperate I was to watch soccer. And Bellingham's brother is on Sunderland. His name's Job Bellingham, and you think he's only like 17. He's insanely good too.
Really?
Like, this fool's going to be in the Premier League probably. I bet he's in the Premier League in 2 years. Like at like 19, 20 years old. I saw him score. He scored 2 goals in the game. He plays a lot like his older brother. He looks a lot like his older brother. Like
That's
they both
awesome.
could end up being total baller brothers, like at the same level potentially.
Did you know Alexis McAllister has a brother?
I did not.
And
Where's he playing?
He's playing him in the Champions League or in Europa.
Oh, where does he play?
I'll look it up. Let's keep going because it'll take me a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll call that out.
Awesome. Yeah, look that up. Yeah. So getting back to the transfers at the deadline, we also had Cole Palmer make the move from Man City to Chelsea. I believe this is on a permanent deal, and it was for tens of millions of dollars. I believe. I don't know.
It was like 40 plus
40
some
40
incentives.
plus million. Pretty crazy. I don't know how old he is. I think he's still really young. Insanely talented with his left foot. He's just one of those guys like a Mahrez, right? Or one of those guys that just can do everything with his left foot. Doesn't matter that he's one-footed because he can still do anything he wants with it. Tons of potential. I don't really know how much it helps him in his career, going from a team like Man City where he wasn't going to play to go to a team like Chelsea where he still might not play. So he did sub in for his first appearance in the last game. But I don't know how often he's going to be getting playing time. But still, Chelsea willing to spend, willing to bring in, young players. I think there's an added benefit with him, being that he is, British, and there are always those rules, right? You need to have a certain number of British players. So I think there's always going to be a little bit of an extra caveat bonus for him, right? Because it's like he's like a good British player. Let's get him on our team. So I think that might have been gone into the pricing of that a little bit.
Yeah, I was just surprised. I mean, they sold him for a good amount of money, and then they brought in more firepower, so they're just exchanging dollars.
Exactly.
They're just.
I feel like that's a lot of what Man City does now. I mean, because they have such high valued players that they're often sort of exchanging player for player. It feels like where Chelsea's just spending and dumping.
Yeah,
which is pretty funny.
But the thing is,
a few other.
I was just gonna say Chelsea's like. I feel like Man City is bringing in more established players. Like there's still some young guys, but definitely more established, more known commodities than Chelsea.
More ready for the big time.
Right. Yeah. So I think they're ahead of the game there. Alexis McAllister's brother Kevin plays for Belgian side Union SG, and they will meet in Europa this season.
Oh shit! Okay,
pretty sick.
That'll be a fun one.
Yeah,
that'll be cool to see. All right, back to deadline transfers. So a few other deals that we might have talked about before, but weren't necessarily official. Balogun officially to Monaco, I believe on loan again, right? I don't know the full details there, but it looked like this was happening, but it just kept getting dragged out and dragged out and dragged out. So we started to question it a bit, but officially in Ligue 1 for the season. Uh, João Felix made the move to Barcelona on a loan. Um, really sort of desperate times for him. It felt like nobody wanted him, and he still ends up going to a big team. So I mean, he's got to be feeling good about that. But there was a few weeks there where it looked pretty stark and dark for for Felix.
And that's the team he would want to go to over all teams, I feel
Yeah,
like. But
yeah.
I mean, what's that telling you? Atletico's fine loaning him to a team, a competitor, a
They
direct
spent
competitor.
so much money on him,
I
man.
just
It's
want
crazy.
I just want to call out how correct we were during the World Cup. We were like, how is João Felix playing over Rafael Leao in any capacity? Like, how is this happening? That was the biggest flop by the Portuguese coach. I forget his name. I can see his ugly face. Like, that fucking guy fucked up their chances. They could have been so much more dynamic. Ah,
I know, it's insane, man. God, I know, it's just so frustrating. It was the same. This seems to always happen. We talked about it before. I feel like there always has to be more politics and bullshit and corruption going on in the background. It was the same shit we talked about before with Sane like 5 years ago with the German team, right? Where he didn't even make the roster,
yeah. Well, that
and
was
he
a.
was like at his
But
absolute
they got some
prime.
backlash on that though. Like not just from the Sane
Really,
thing, but from just not getting any youth
people.
on that team. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, good place for Felix. So a few other moves. I think this one is a loan, I believe, but Ndombele to Galatasaray.
Mm-hmm.
They continue to stack these players that are like B minus to B plus range, either at this point in their career or at their peak, but
Yeah.
just off the top
Davinson
level.
Sanchez was another one, but I don't know if we mentioned him already.
Yeah, I don't know if we had mentioned that one, but yeah, they just kind of keep picking here and there at some of these big clubs and pulling some of these guys, and they're putting together a pretty spicy roster. So as we get into our preview of the Champions League and eventually do our group picks, it's going to be really fun to break them down.
Yeah.
And then a couple more moves. So we had Timothy Castagna, who was on the Leicester side that got relegated, the Belgian international right back, officially makes a move to Fulham. I don't know. I think this is a permanent move. I don't think it's a loan. But yeah, so he'll be joining Fulham. They definitely needed to keep adding pieces wherever they could. Uh, you had mentioned that Paulinho was potentially on his way out, and that ended up not happening. So that's huge for Fulham to keep him from a playing perspective. Obviously, they may have wanted the money to invest at the mid season table transfer window, but yeah, Castagna, another good player to add. Tons of experience in the Premier League, international player, somebody you would just love to have on your team. I think even if there's competition at that position. And then the last move, Mateus Nunes officially moved from Wolves to Man City. This one seemed to be a very last minute negotiation. I think it felt like it happened all in the last week, right before the end of the transfer window. But there was a point where he had refused to start training with the team, and there was back and forth. I don't know the final fee, but he eventually did officially move to Man City by the last day of the window. So we talked about them losing a guy like Cole Palmer, but then just turning around and spending that money to bring in another big name, another international level player that's still very young and with a ton of potential.
It's crazy. Like they just don't need him. They don't need him at all. But
Exactly.
they just another bullet in the chamber, and
There's so much insurance when you have players like that on the bench, right? Somebody gets hurt, it's like you're not bringing in some scrub. You're
yeah,
like bringing in an international player. It's like,
we're still winning the league. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and Man City, we were kind of talking about it. The whole transfer window, they had two guys. You know,
mm-hmm.
and we're like, man, they're not really doing much. They better get Bernardo Silva, or else they're screwed. You know, and then all of a sudden, bam, bam,
Mm-hmm.
bam, they do a bunch of stuff right before the window closes. Yeah, the rich get richer and Wolves get worse, and it makes me sad a little bit. Um, Hopefully they can stay up. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, yeah, they need some magic this year.
Yeah, and then okay, so those are all the transfers that we have that we haven't talked about previously. As far as the news goes, speaking of those bad vibes for Man U, it started with Mason Greenwood, who had been on the outs for a while with his domestic abuse investigation.
Hmm.
He's now completely removed from the team, playing for Getafe in Spain. So they said good riddance to him. Anthony is under similar investigation. They're still with him, but the Brazilian national team cut ties.
Wow, I did not hear that.
Yeah, Brazil said, we're done. We're done with you.
Wow.
So if he were a better player, I think maybe, I don't know the situation, but I feel like is Brazil, they're going to be fine without Anthony, you know?
True. True. Yeah.
They got so many guys. I think it's smart just to just be like, remove him from
They
your
didn't. They didn't pay
situation.
95 million for him to be on their team. You know.
Right. They'll be just fine, and you know what? It's smart. It's smart just to just we don't want to deal with
Yeah.
that mess.
I will say, for what I heard, uh, this particular case and investigation. So this is an investigation happening in Brazil, I believe, not in the UK. So it's a different story than Greenwood from that perspective. And supposedly this is a much more he said she said gray murky case, where the Greenwood one was very, I think, straightforward, and everyone there was very little doubt in people's minds. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt there, where he came out with a statement that he says he's innocent and all this stuff. But hearing that part that you just added about the Brazil team cutting ties, that's pretty damning to hear that happen. So yeah, curious to see where this goes from here.
Yeah, it's so hard to know the truth in these situations, but Brazil's actions, I think, say a lot. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Man United does, if anything, or maybe it comes to nothing. Who knows? Sancho, what's the latest on Sancho?
So basically, he's been super frustrated. He's been sucking. I forget how much money they paid for him, but it was some ridiculous amount of money. So supposedly after this last game, he had this huge outburst. I think it was on social media, or it was on, I don't know if it was, I think it was social media, so it wasn't like in an interview per se, but basically public comments blasting the team essentially, and or the coach to a degree. So the latest that's been heard is that he may have upset Ten Hag enough that he doesn't play at all until the transfer window, and then they make a move on him. So he very much could be getting basically boxed out of getting any playing time here. I'm curious to see what happens here. Obviously, this is still really fresh, and obviously there's going to be a little bit of a break here with the international break. So maybe they smooth things over, but he wasn't getting a lot of playing time anyway. He wasn't performing well.
No.
I mean, this was a guy that was like talked about in a lot of ways like Bellingham was when he was making this move and when he was on Dortmund, like that he was the next big thing in the whole world, and he's just not lived up to it at all. So I don't know, maybe it was a little bit of personal frustration mixed in with a little bit of team frustration, and it all came out at a really bad time. But he upset a lot of people, fans and the team.
Yeah. He's been bad, man. He's been a bad signing. I don't know why. Maybe he just never had it, and he had that one good season. And you know, playing for a team like United is tough, especially like Dortmund's a big club, but
Yep.
you're not playing against the same level of competition day in and day out. It's just a fact. They're still good clubs. You still got to play at a high level, but you know, when your confidence, I don't know, maybe it was a confidence thing that he just started to, you know, get less and less confidence, and you got to be confident going forward, taking people on. I don't know what the deal is, but he has been worth it.
Yeah, basically Ten Hag was like, he's not trying hard in practice. So like I think he left him completely off the last.
Did he say he's not trying hard, or he's not playing well enough?
basically, I think he said like his performances in training aren't good enough.
Right.
I don't know if it was like a lazy comment or like he's not a good
Okay.
comment,
I interpreted
But
that quote to be he's just not playing well enough in training.
but then Sancho turns around and is like, I'm the scapegoat. This is bullshit. Like that, he kind of like started saying shit like that. That really pissed everyone off, right? So it's I don't know. It feels like a very vicious cycle where there might not be any way out of this. But he's only 23 years old still.
Mm-hmm.
Like God, he's still like still has the potential to be so good. And maybe he does just need a new situation to be in.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. I
70 oh he went for 73 million pounds in 2021, so that's probably like what, 90 million euros or
yeah.
something crazy.
Ooh, not good business. Not good business. You could still sell him for what? A Kai
Yeah,
Havertz? You know? What do you go for?
yeah, they could
65,
probably still
70?
sell him for 40 to 50. I feel like
I bet you.
pounds I'm
See,
talking, but yeah,
see, this is
60 to
where.
70 euros.
So
Yeah,
the window's closed, so it's not going to happen. But this is like Wolves. You just got some money for Nunes. Like I feel like this would be a good target, something like that. And you're buying
but we talked
low
about
on
this
him. You're
before.
buying super low.
You got to have a player that wants to play where you're at, though. We talked about this
Dude,
before.
he's a
There's
distressed
0%
asset.
chance
He's not
zero
in.
percent chance Sancho's going to agree to that.
Why? Why not, dude? You're not playing where you are. What, you think you're gonna go play for Real Madrid?
That's what these guys think, man. Like that's how they think. They think they're the best of the world, man, even when they're not. And so it's just tough, man. Like I agree with you 100%. That is the perfect place for him to go. Go fucking play every minute of every game, be the star, help this team be successful, build up your stock. Like
Yeah,
that makes so much sense. But I just don't think they think that way. They think they're the best. They deserve to be on one of these teams. They deserve to get the playing time on one of these teams. There's just no way it hasn't gone to his head.
yeah. He needs some self awareness because he hasn't been good enough to be on one of those teams. He hasn't been, and he needs to play his way back to that level. It's as simple as that. So he needs to grow up then, if that's the case. But who knows?
Yep. Feels like there's a lot of growing up needed at Man U. So
Oof,
seems to be a
man.
trend here.
I don't envy that coach, but I think I genuinely.
He's got to be under
This isn't
the
even
most
like a
pressure.
flex. I genuinely think we could do a better job scouting than they do. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, it's been embarrassing the last, what, like 6 years? It's been so long. If they didn't have Rashford, like, and Bruno Fernandes, great one they got. Like, he's a winner. He's a
Yeah.
winner. But outside of those two guys, like, who are you writing home about? A couple of old
Okay,
guys
so
who
quick.
used to be
I,
good?
I just thought of this. I just thought of this. Would you rather? You kind of spurred it into my mind. Who do you think? It's kind of a which coach would you rather be? But more so, it's a question. Who do you think is under the most pressure? Do you think it's Ten Hag, Pochettino, with obviously a struggling Chelsea start with a ton of money, or Eddie Howe, who is obviously not the big name and has expectations now to win and has had a couple games now struggling? Who do you think is actually under the most pressure, and or who would you rather be?
Okay, I have two different answers to those questions. Who's under the most
Inter-
pressure is Pochettino.
Interesting.
I
I
only
would say
say
Ten Hag.
that because Chelsea changes managers like every 6 weeks. So if he doesn't turn it around, he's gone by October. Like that's just how Chelsea
True.
operates. Like throughout
True.
my entire life, that's how they've been. They've never held a manager for very long. So in the respect of keeping their job, he's under the most pressure. The most noise is definitely on Eric Ten Hag, um, but I think they're going to stick with him longer than Pochettino because he has shown his value. I think,
Hmm.
especially compared to the shit coaches they had before him. Um, so I think he's under the. He has the most. He has the most like noise to deal with. But
Okay.
but I think Pochettino's got the hottest hot seat because it's just how Chelsea do
because
things.
Of Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good point you make because Pochettino's fresh in that seat, right? Where Ten Hag has a little bit of more of a permanency, having been there last season, right, and sort of starting to build things up, right? So there's more of a history there.
And he finished. He got them in a second place finish last season.
Yeah.
And they were in a bad place at the beginning of the year, so he's got a little bit of staying power. I think he's earned that.
Yeah.
Who I would want to be. Honestly, it's Eddie Howe.
Oh shit! Interesting.
I don't think so. Newcastle's been kind of sliding these last few matches. They've been tough matches for him, but they haven't looked good. They blew the match against Liverpool. Horrible loss. I changed my opinion a little bit on whether I think they could win the league after these two matches when I thought they could, even though it was a long shot. However, I still like the pieces that they have. I just don't think they're deep enough. So that fan base is awesome. I like the direction of the team. And you're playing in the Champions League. Chelsea's not doing that. If Chelsea were in the Champions League, I might go Chelsea. Because I think they have a ton of talent. But I'm going to go Eddie Howe.
Yeah, I just feel like there's the added pressure with him that he's not the big name like a Ten Hag or Pochettino, right? So I feel like there could be a quicker trigger from that perspective. They're like, now that we're building one of these mega teams, we need to go get one of these guys. We need to go get a big manager. And so there's another aspect I think that's there that I think that's got to be so much just leaning over your shoulder that you're thinking, I have one bad stretch and they're going to take that opportunity. We saw it last year with Bayern, right? When they literally were in the semifinal of the Champions League and they fired their coach. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
To bring in a big name, you know, like, so I don't know. There's that aspect too. So they're all under so much pressure.
I know they all are. I think
you make a good argument though. I think, Pochettino's got probably the quickest path to losing a job if things go wrong.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to the Ballon Drunks. If you like the show, please like and subscribe. If you want to watch full episodes, check us out on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Cheers. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.